It's a week tomorrow since Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un met in Singapore to achieve, well, who knows what. What's not in dispute is that they did meet. Everything else really is interpretation. Did President Trump legitimise a dictator? In a way, the president himself says, yes, I quote, I went there, I gave him credibility. Mr. Trump said, I think it's great to give him credibility, but could that take a pariah state, nuclear armed, hostile to much of the world, and make it a better global citizen? And what will it mean for the people who live under Kim in North Korea? Well, Justice Michael Kirby is the Australian diplomat who chaired the UN Commission of Inquiry into Human Rights in North Korea, which wrapped up in 2014. It was a stocktake that shocked the world at the time, and the man who chaired it told me he's not sure whether Trump's meeting with Kim and the concessions Trump appears to have made may change everything or nothing at all.
Well, that's why I'm torn between, on the one hand, a belief that the United States has given away what was its previous very clear and repeated requirement for any meeting between the American leader and the leader of North Korea, namely that they should agree to complete and verifiable and irreversible destruction of their nuclear weapons before they'd even get the meeting. And so far as I know, unless it's been done in secret behind closed doors, Chairman Kim really hasn't given very much at all. And just the promise that North Korea will, quote, work towards, end quote, nuclear weapons. And that's a very soft promise in contrast to complete, verifiable and irreversible destruction of nuclear weapons.
So previously, nuclear disarmament was a requirement for a meeting to take place. Now it's a promise, whatever that's worth, after the meeting has taken place. But then you quote Winston Churchill, "War is better than war."
Particularly when the people who have the capacity to cause war have got nuclear weapons, because they're not just very big bombs, they're bombs of an utterly different and highly destructive character.
Of course, this narrative is the West looking in, isn't it? What can North Korea do to us? And obviously that is a very important question, but you're also interested in what North Korea, Kim, is already doing to his own people, and that doesn't seem to have been discussed at all. Were human rights even mentioned?
There is a reference to returning the bodies of deceased soldiers and missing in action if they are found. So that's the closest that these two leaders have got to respecting human dignity and human rights of human beings. But the people involved are all safely dead, and in fact very long dead, most of them, because the Korean War was fought between 1950 and 1953. So that's a long while back. But as to the human rights of the living and the people in the here and now, there wasn't any mention, not in the declaration, but in the press conference that followed. President Trump said there had been some discussion, not apparently very long discussion, about human rights, but the devil is in the detail, and the detail isn't available to us, so we don't know about that.
If we go back to what you learnt and the UN learnt and the world learnt in 2014, the Commission of Inquiry, the detailed reports on human rights in North Korea, what do we know about people who get offside with this regime?
Well, it's a rather dangerous place. Even if you're related by marriage or by blood to the Supreme Leader, it's extremely dangerous to be on the wrong side of Kim Jong-un. He very soon after he gained power, he killed Jian Song-tek, who was the uncle by marriage. He was the husband of the sister of his father, and he, as we know, is alleged to have been involved in the killing of his half-brother, Kim Jong-nam. So for people close, it's dangerous, and for people distant, it's dangerous if they are reputed to be political enemies of the regime. And our best estimate of the people who were kept in detention camps in North Korea was that it was something of the order of 80,000 to 120,000. And the best thing that could come from the meeting between Mr. Trump and Kim would be for them to allow inspectors from the United Nations to go into North Korea and to go to the places which can be pinpointed with absolute accuracy because of Google Earth and satellite images, and have a look at who is in the detention camps and how many they are and what is their condition.
That's Michael Kirby, who's the chair of the UN inquiry into human rights or otherwise in North Korea.